Tonight, Eastern Michigan travels to Rupp Arena for its last non-conference matchup against the defending national champions from Kentucky. The Wildcats hope the new year brings the same success as the old year. It's the last of non-conference play. Next on the U. Welcome to SEC basketball on ESPN. We are at legendary Rupp Arena in Lexington, KY, as the reigning national champs at Kentucky play host to the Eastern Michigan Eagles out of the MAC. And welcome courtside, everybody. Tom Hart alongside former SEC coach and player Joe Dean Jr. Well, guys, if you've been on the couch watching bowl games for the last 36 hours, we don't blame you, but now's a great time to start paying attention to this Kentucky team. A lot was expected of the Wildcats, and they're starting to put it together. Starting to get better, improve every game. John Calipari, for the fourth year in a row, Tom, has put together a brand new team led by 4 talented freshmen. Even though they lost at Louisville last Saturday, they showed a lot of toughness, and that's what John Calipari wants to see from this year's Kentucky team. It should be a very interesting matchup tonight as we take a look at our one-on-one, because Kentucky will get a fresh look from Eastern Michigan's 2-3 zone. It's going to be the half court versus the full court. Rob Murphy, the Eastern Michigan coach, comes from Syracuse with the 2-3 zone defense. He wants to make it a half court game tonight. Kentucky, on the other hand, wants to play full court. Pressure defense, force turnovers, create offensive opportunities, and get into that fast-breaking attack style that is so well known in Kentucky. And here's a look at the starters for Eastern Michigan coming off of an 87-49 win over Siena Heights. They shot 55%, their best field goal percentage in 4 years. A host of transfers, including a 7-footer in the middle from Syracuse, Deshante Riley. And for John Calipari's Kentucky Wildcats, for the second straight game, they'll go big. Nerlens Noel inside with Willie Cauley-Stein. A couple of freshmen, 6'10" and 7 feet, as they go with the bigger lineup today against the Eastern Michigan 2-3 zone. Well, what can you say about John Calipari? In his 4th season here in Lexington, got the national championship last season, and a brand new look and a brand new team after they lost 94% of their scoring. Rob Murphy was an assistant under Jim Boeheim at Syracuse. That's where he picked up the 2-3 zone. He's in his 2nd season as the head coach, and last year was the MAC Coach of the Year after leading the Eagles to the MAC West Championship. Les Jones, Ron Groover, James Barker have the whistles, and we are underway at Rupp. And after Pity Pat, Eastern Michigan comes out with the tip and the highlighter yellow shoes. Like those shoes. Very nice. Kentucky's going to play man-to-man. They're going to pressure, try to force Eastern Michigan out of what they want to do on the offensive end. Harrison for a 3 to start. Dalen Harrison, transfer from Wyoming, only had 2 field goal attempts against Syracuse. They want him to take control, and he does on the first possession. There are 7 transfers on this Eastern Michigan roster. We'll talk more about that tonight, but you're going to see a lot of 2-3 zone. It's their primary defense. Rob Murphy learned it at Syracuse. How does John Calipari want to attack the zone? You want to try to get the ball in the middle of the zone or on the foul line area where the SEC logo is, or get it down to the short corner and play some high-low. Harrow with the shot clock at 5, rattles home a 3. Just his 4th 3 of the season. Here's strategies to win for Eastern. Now, Eastern Michigan, has got to rebound out of the zone defense and then control the tempo of the game. That's going to be the key on the offensive end right here. Be patient, force Kentucky to play defense. Eastern Michigan only scoring 59 points a game, only shooting 40% from the floor, and they're winless on the road this season. Nearly turned over. The freshman Willie Cauley-Stein hits the floor to take it away. Harrow needs some help. Stuck on a knee and gets tackled from behind. That's the first on Jamel Harris. Nice job of diving on the floor by Cauley-Stein there to get the loose ball. Ryan Harrow just couldn't come up with it. He was on his knees with no one to pass it to. And Tom, Ryan Harrow is the big story here at Kentucky, a guy that has a lot of pressure on him as the point guard. We know what John Calipari has done the last 5 years with great point guards. Ryan Harrow, though, he told me today, getting a lot better and more comfortable in this offense. Archie Goodwin banks one home. And Kentucky with its first lead of the night, nearly 2 minutes in, full court pressure from the Cats.
Kentucky's going to try to speed Eastern Michigan up, force turnovers. They score about 12 points a game off turnovers, does the Kentucky Wildcats.
Eastern Michigan team, which turned it over 24 times in their loss in the Carrier Dome against Syracuse. And a lot of those turnovers came under their own basket. Harrison trying to make something happen. And it's brought down by Willie Cauley-Stein. 23 effective minutes for Stein last time out against Louisville. Strategies for the Cats.
You see what they want to do. Offensive rebounding against the zone is going to be key for Kentucky. They're bigger, they're longer. They want to get to the glass and get some putbacks. And then the pressure defense, we see that now. And on the offensive end, get it off the board and run the ball down the floor and create easy looks before the Eastern Michigan zone can get set up.
Willie Cauley-Stein, who was a wide receiver in high school, bringing full court pressure, trying to double the ball, and Eastern Michigan turns it over for the second time.
Jalen Ross is a 5'11" freshman guard out of Greensboro, North Carolina. Rob Murphy likes him, says he's a talented young man, going to be an excellent player in the MAC, but they're not playing a MAC team tonight, Tom. They're playing the Big Blue in Lexington, KY.
Eastern Michigan won the MAC West last year, but lost in the first round. Here's Willie Cauley-Stein.
Dalen Harrison is on that side of the zone. He did not drop far enough to the baseline, and we saw John Calipari work on that very play today in the shoot-around. Another turnover right there.
And Rob Murphy did not want to end up without basketball. He's not happy, but Kentucky is after this alley-oop.
The drop is not there in the Eastern Michigan zone. The alley-oop will be there all night long, both to Nerlens Noel and Cauley-Stein. If 35 right there, Harrison, doesn't make his drop down to the baseline.
Well, turnovers will be key, as you mentioned earlier. Syracuse with 31 points off of turnovers against Eastern Michigan. And it came with full court pressure, so John Calipari going baseline to baseline tonight. Is that something he wants to do throughout the season in SEC play?
Well, absolutely. I think he's got the team athletically that can run up and down the court and create easy looks. You know, basketball is about getting easy looks at the basket, shots at the rim, and Kentucky has the ability to do that. Tonight, obviously, that's the game plan, because he does not want to walk the ball down the floor and have to play against that 2-3 zone every possession.
First ever meeting between Eastern Michigan and Kentucky. Kentucky's 45-6 all-time against the MAC. And turnovers already the story. 3 for Eastern Michigan, 2 in the backcourt, which is the key for many. Not only turning it over, but where those turnovers occur.
Derek Thompson now in the game for Eastern Michigan, comes off the bench. He is their captain and leading scorer.
Loose ball will stay with Kentucky. Wildcats coming off of a thriller on the road at Louisville. Dropped that one by 3, but came back from a 17-point second-half deficit. Loose ball, and the Wildcats get on the floor for another one. Harrow gets tied up. Then a possession arrow belongs to the home team. Ryan Harrow trying to blink those watery eyes away after taking a shot to the face on the hardwood.
He's been a young man that has had some health issues. He only played in 8 of the Kentucky 12 games, but the last 2, he's scored 40 points and wins over Marshall, and of course the loss at Louisville.
Willie Cauley-Stein, freshman from Olathe, Kansas, fouled on the putback. 2 coming his way. Glenn Bryant charged with his first.
Now, this is an area that we watched today at the shoot-around. Willie Cauley-Stein working on improving his free throw shooting, only 36% on the year. And while he did miss that, what he's doing, Tom, is instead of starting the ball down around his waist, he's starting the ball up around his chin to limit the motion in the shot up to the rim. So although he missed that shot, you watch this, it's a lot less motion in the free throw. Sets it and shoots it right there. That looked good there. John Calipari's been working very hard with Willie Cauley-Stein on that free throw.
Eastern Michigan solves the pressure, and on the run, the lob was left short. And the Eagles miss an opportunity inside as Bryant couldn't finish. Kentucky on the run the other way. And a foul on the drive, and more Kentucky free throws coming.
You know, the other thing that running the ball down the floor does for you, if you can get the ball on the glass early with a quick shot, it allows your other 4 players to crash the offensive backboard before the defense can get set up and block you out. And that's the strategy. Run it down the floor, take a quick shot, and go get the offensive putback.
And here's the talented freshman Alex Poythress at the free throw line. Well, he got off to a red-hot start this season. He was the first Kentucky freshman with 4 straight 20-point games under John Calipari. And then there's been a lot of one-on-one work between the coach and the player to try and get him going and try to extend that motor throughout games.
Yeah, I found that interesting today. Coach Cal talking about the individual workouts with Alex Poythress to try to get him, or to get his motor running a little bit.
Harrison on the drive. Riley, the Syracuse transfer, got tied up on the turn inside. Deshante Riley Jr. from Detroit out of Country Day High School. Chris Webber, Shane Battier, right, alums of Country Day, left to go to Syracuse. Things didn't work out for Jim Boeheim, and Rob Murphy knew about him, obviously, at Syracuse, brought him back with him to Ypsilanti.
And Rob Murphy told me that that was a major recruiting effort for his program to get a player of that caliber from the Detroit area. Rob Murphy is from the Detroit area. To come to Eastern Michigan, a program that has not had a lot of success the last 10 or 12 years, was huge for the Eagles.
Riley more of a defensive presence, and he gets off to Harrison. Derek Thompson left it behind. Look at the bigs all the way out to try and help out. And Thompson with a beautiful touch. The junior from Detroit with his first bucket.
He actually asked his coach, Coach Rob Murphy, if he could come off the bench. He feels more comfortable watching a couple of minutes and then coming off the bench to ignite his team with some offensive firepower.
Julius Mays into the game for Kentucky. Can't hit the long jumper. He's been playing a lot of minutes this season.
Good long rebound there by the point guard, Jalen Ross. That's one of the things that a zone has to do. The guards have got to clean up long rebounds like he did right there.
Eastern Michigan can make it a one-possession game with a score here. 5 minutes in.
Just a little 3-man weave out front. Get some movement.
Riley, that's probably stretching his limits, and he's off the mark. Kentucky started 3 for 4. Missed their last 3 field goal attempts. John Calipari was very particular about some of the shot selection they had down the stretch against Louisville. Noel inside, jump hook. He pointed specifically to Kyle Wiltshire and he said, guys, when he's on fire, feed him the ball. When you have a guy who's hit a couple of jumpers, let's get him the ball instead of taking our own shots.
Yeah, that's a great point that he made with the team today. When a guy's made a couple of shots, he's the guy we want to try to find in the offense.
Wiltshire set to check in next dead ball. Poythress will return as well.
Here's their best offensive player right here, Dalen Harrison. Couldn't quite get it on the little post-up game.
And another board for Noel.
The zone has definitely slowed Kentucky down a little bit. Eastern Michigan has been able to rebound the first shot. That is the key in the zone.
Kentucky's only +1 on the glass so far. And a timeout on the floor here in Lexington. Kentucky with a 4-point lead. Slow going here at Rupp. Exactly what Eastern Michigan wanted. ESPNU's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by the Experience Buick Lease. It's a new lease on luxury. Rupp Arena, the site. Kentucky leads Eastern Michigan 9-5. Slow going as of late for Kentucky because Eastern Michigan has been taking care of the basketball, and head coach Rob Murphy likes that. Second season as a head coach in Ypsilanti. Won the MAC West last year, was the MAC Coach of the Year. Paid his dues at Syracuse as an assistant, but the real story for him in his program is the time he spent in the Detroit Public School League, both as a player and as a coach.
Well, no question. You see, he won the state championship at Crockett High School in Detroit. Rob Murphy is a guy that wanted to upgrade the talent at Eastern Michigan as quickly as he could. He went out and got 7 transfers. One, Deshante Riley from Syracuse. The other, Glenn Bryant from Arkansas. 2 local Detroit kids that really gave the Eastern Michigan program some credibility early in Rob Tenure's tenure there. And as you mentioned, Tom, he was the MAC Coach of the Year, beat Ohio last year, a Sweet 16 team, and this year has already beaten Purdue.
Wilcher from the wing is off, just into the game. Poitras, the freshman, back up and in.
Now there's the weakness of the zone right there. They just don't have solid block-out responsibilities, and Alex Poitras is such a physical guy. He just exposes himself to the glass and lays it back in.
And that's a first bucket for Kentucky in 3+ minutes. And the first one that came in the half court, not off of a turnover. Matt Balkema into the game for Eastern Michigan, giving the Eagles some size inside. 4th turnover of the game for Eastern. A lot of new faces on this Eagles roster.
Yeah, and of course, Glenn Bryant we talked about from Arkansas, Deshante Riley from Syracuse, those guys in particular. But Dalen Harrison, a young man that came from Wyoming, outstanding player, and already in this game is showing that he's their main offensive threat.
John Calipari is red hot in the Kentucky sideline, and he's not happy with his point guard, Ryan Harrell.
You know, it's interesting. He just he stays after these guys, demanding perfection, demanding that they play at their highest level. And, you know, some people might not understand that, Tom. They may say, you know, kids can't play under that type of pressure. But his attitude is, hey, Kentucky is the most pressurized basketball program in the nation. If you can't handle that, if you're not tough enough, maybe you shouldn't be here. The players understand it. They feed off of it. And you can look at what Ryan Harrell said right there.
This was on If Alex Poitras is Sensitive, on a great one-on-one interview from the Louisville Courier Journal, pardon me. And the point of this was, he said, in high school, you say, who are you talking to? You need me in high school. In college, you can't do that. You have to listen to everything the coach says. You have to take it in and try to change yourself for the best. Ryan Harrell knows that. He was able to do that, and that was just weeks ago. And John Calipari is hoping that Alex Poitras does the same.
It was funny. Ryan Harrell said recently, he's in my dreams all the time. Talking about Coach Cal. He said, when I watch an Italian movie or a movie with an Italian accent, I think about him. I have to turn the movie off. But Coach Cal has one objective in mind, and that's to make Ryan Harrell the best point guard he can be and to help this team win.
Officials will get together on this one.
Good job of officiating there. James Barker comes in and makes the correct call.
Another freshman returns, Archie Goodwin out of Little Rock, Arkansas.
Archie Goodwin, an explosive basketball player for Kentucky, capable of putting up a lot of points in a short period of time. Had 19 points in the last 13 minutes of the game at Louisville last weekend.
Loose ball control by Eastern Michigan and Jalen Ross. John Calipari told his guys today, against the zone, you're going to skip the ball a little bit over the top. That turned into some turnovers last time out against Louisville. Poitras inside draws a foul on Balkema. ESPNU has a college basketball doubleheader that includes one of the top teams in the nation. At 8, the third-ranked Wildcats host the Colorado Buffaloes. Then at 10, the Cardinal take on the Trojans. Colorado, Arizona at 8. Then Stanford, USC at 10. Thursday on ESPNU. And also live on Watch ESPN. ESPN, the home court of college hoops. 4 now for Poitras. And Jared Polson, Kentucky native, will enter the game. Willie Cauley-Stein returns as well. Kentucky will likely be without the services of John Hood tonight. He didn't participate in practice. He's been under the weather. But John Calipari is anticipating getting some minutes of guys off the bench, but most importantly, getting Alex Poitras to play at his highest level.
Right, play more intensity, with more intensity, mentally tougher, and to sustain the effort over a long period of time, not just play hard for 1 or 2 minutes.
Largest lead of the game for Kentucky, up 13-5 as we step away for another timeout. And when we return, we'll give you the numbers you need to know. Back to Rupp in a moment.
I'm just proud of him, and I'm proud to say that I was able to spend a year with him. Anthony.
Blocked by Davis. Lob and a dunk.
Deron. Terrence.
Terrence Jones. Good. Jones jammed it in.
Michael.
The kid showing some magic.
And Marcus have decided to put their names in the NBA draft. When the season is over, it's about moments like this.
So how hard is it when you lose 94% of your scoring? Numbers you need to know. Teams that return 2 starters or fewer. Kentucky, 0. They've had 4 losses already. Phil Pressey, the only starter returning from Missouri, preseason player of the year in the conference. And then look at that host of teams. Florida State, Mississippi State, Nebraska, Utah, and Vandy. Great illustration of how hard it is to win in college basketball when you don't return experience.
Tom, I don't think a lot of fans realize just what John Calipari has done here in Kentucky the last 4 years. I mean, 4 different teams, 4 years in a row. Final 8, Final 4, national title last year. He's got a brand new team this year. Some people think 8-4 is not acceptable. He's trying to build this team, grow them, help them mature, and get better. And it's not an easy task, even though he's got a lot of natural talent, as you see Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, who's here tonight, of the Charlotte Bobcats.
Second overall pick of Charlotte. Teammates went back-to-back, first and second. Gilchrist coming off of a great month, NBA Rookie of the Month, and he's averaging 11 points, 6 boards a game overall. Got a quick flight up to Lexington. Tonight we'll be back in Charlotte, probably by the time we get back to our hotel. So I don't know if Eastern Michigan wanted to make this game ugly, but pace-wise, they wanted it played in the mud, and that's kind of what they're getting so far tonight as Bryant hits.
No question. That's only their 3rd field goal of the game, yet they're only down by 6 points. So the tempo definitely favors Eastern Michigan. The zone has been effective against Kentucky. There's a steal. Nice job by Jalen Ross. Good-looking freshman.
On the run, the 3 won't go. And Bryant got taken to the ground. Rob Murphy wanted a whistle.
Yeah, Bryant got fouled right there.
Goodwin gets the whistle on the other end. And a Kentucky team that is trying to find some points. Look at what they lost to the NBA draft. 94% of the scoring.
The last 3 years, John Calipari's had 11 players drafted in the NBA. Those 6 right there, they're all gone from last year's team. And the one thing he told us today is that the difference between this year's team and the previous 3, they have no one on this team that they can emulate. There's no Patrick Patterson. There's no DeAndre Liggins or Josh Harrelson. There's no Darius Miller for them to look at and say, that's how we have to play. That's the mental toughness we have to have.
Easy to see how and why Kentucky's already lost twice as many as last year's team. Another free throw for Goodwin. I thought, even though they lost to Louisville, and no true blue fan ever wants to lose that game, but I thought they played very well and showed what they're capable of in the second half.
Well, you show a lot about your character as a team when you're down 17 to the 4th-ranked team in the country on the road, and you cut it to 2 late. That's what Kentucky did, and showed a lot of heart and tenacity in the Yum Center, hostile environment, to get back and have a chance to win the game.
Jalen Ross had to use a timeout, got tied up in the backcourt against the Kentucky pressure. Wildcats leading by 8 here, and they've got a resurgent season so far for the point guard, Ryan Harrow, who was basically invisible for the first 8 games due to injury, illness, some time at home with the family, and he's come on like a gangbuster as of late.
Yeah, a young man out of Marietta, Georgia, Walton High School, who transferred in here from North Carolina State, can take it to the basket, shoot the 3, although he's been inconsistent with that so far in his Kentucky career. He's a young man with a lot of ability, and this is the pressure he's playing under, Tom. The last 5 point guards under John Calipari, Derrick Rose and Tariq Evans from Memphis, John Wall, Brandon Knight, and Marcus Teague, all drafted in the 1st round. 2, Derrick Rose and John Wall, were the #1 pick in the NBA draft. That's quite a lot of pressure for this point guard on this particular Kentucky team, Ryan Harrow.
The other side of the coin, isn't that one of the reasons you come to play for John Calipari as a point guard?
No question. That's a great point. No question about it. You want to be one of those 5 guys. And that's why Ryan Harrow came here.
Eagles turn it over for the 5th time tonight.
And that's why, you know, he's developing his mental toughness. And when John Calipari calls him out or gets on him or demands that he do certain things on the floor, he's listening and trying to use what Coach Calipari says to make him better.
Wilcher with another miss. It's really interesting. Eastern Michigan's 2-3 zone has shut down some great shooters in college basketball this season. James Sutherland from Syracuse was 0 for 5. Purdue's DJ Bird 0 for 5. Trey Burke from Michigan just 1 for 6. So when they find the shooter, they can really shut you down.
Well, they can, and the rebounding is about even so far, which obviously was the #1 key for Eastern Michigan, was hang in on the backboards with Kentucky.
First on Goodwin after Noel's first block.
Yeah, well, Glenn Bryant is from Arkansas. He's played Kentucky before in his career. And Noel, 5th leading shot blocker in the country, leading SEC shot blocker at 6'11", long arms, great timing. Has a lot of the same characteristics that Anthony Davis had last year.
Noel strips it. He leads Kentucky in steals at 6'10", and there's one. Well, one of the best defensive players in the nation, Nerlens Noel, just a freshman. Now Wiltshire. Got it! D leads to the O, and Kentucky has its largest lead of the night. Ross got forced into going a little metal arc lemon right there. And the jump ball possession arrow belongs to Eastern Michigan.
And Tom, you talked about the defensive pressure, the steal by Noel right there. And that leads to transition basketball, the nice pitch across the court. They found Kyle Wiltshire. Just as John Calipari told them, find him in transition. He's our best three-point threat, and he delivered for the Big Blue.
How about the D from Noel? Not since Houston's Bo Outlaw in 1993 has a player averaged 3.5 blocks and 2.5 steals a game.
Yeah, the blocks are not the most impressive part of Noel's game. The steals are. We saw the quick hands the last possession against Dejounte Riley.
Harrow to Mays. And a foul will put Mays on the line. That's the second on the guard, Jalen Ross.
Here comes the transition. There's the defensive steal. The knockaway by Harrow. Nice 2-on-1 to Julius Mays, who gets fouled on the layup attempt.
How about our camera guy? He got fouled too. Good position.
I think he blocked. I think he stepped in just a little bit late.
Short.
Julius Mays started his college career at North Carolina State, then at Wright State, where he was the Horizon League Newcomer of the Year. Polson returns for Kentucky. First half minutes for the Kentucky native.
Julius Mays has been very inconsistent shooting the ball, but as Coach Cal told us today, he doesn't hurt the team. His assist-turnover ratio right now is 42-13. That is outstanding. Second in the SEC, only to Jarvis Summers from Ole Miss. And when you're doing other things on the floor, you don't necessarily have to be a great shooter, although at some point we'd like for you to be.
I thought that was a great point, though, especially as it pertains to Alex Poythress. He says, if you're not going to score for me, you can't hurt me.
Exactly.
Poythress was killing this team. On the other side, Mays, even though he hasn't been shooting the ball well, was doing all these other things well to help the team out.
There are other ways to help the team besides scoring. Rebound the ball, defend, make good passes, find the open man, dive on the floor. A lot of ways to help the team.
And Poythress got happy feet, turned it over. Kentucky by 12. What do you think about what Eastern Michigan is doing offensively tonight?
Well, Eastern Michigan is challenged offensively. They don't have a lot of talented offensive players. That's the one thing Rob Murphy told me, is they just don't have a real go-to guy. And playing a team of the level of Kentucky is going to be a struggle for them offensively.
Thompson. Good hit, and Polson, fan favorite here, pulls down the rebound. Wants Wiltshire in transition. Mays thought about it. He's really been struggling with his shot. Just 1 for 15 from 3 the last 3 games. Shot clock at 10. Baseline. That's the prettiest of possessions for Kentucky.
Well, they moved the ball a lot of passing around the perimeter, trying to find open looks, just couldn't execute.
Another rebound for Jared Polson at 6'2". And the junior takes a bump. Will they count it? No, they say it's on the floor. And 24,000 opinions come down to the hardwood here at Rupp Arena. The many faces of head coach John Calipari. And a game face tonight with Kentucky up by a dozen.
Matt Schick back in the studio with this update. Louisville coming off that emotional win against Kentucky over the weekend, taking on Providence, and Dante Hinton puts it in. Providence up 2 midway through that first half in Louisville. Back to top and Joe.
All right, thanks. Great night here at Rupp Arena with Kentucky on top of Eastern Michigan 19-7. An Eagles team which is winless on the road this season. 0-4. Yeah, they lost to Syracuse and at Michigan. But look at the numbers, specifically down the line. 35% from the floor and 25.4% from 3 on the road.
When you take over a program that has had 1 winning season in the last 11 years, you're trying to change the culture and you're trying to teach guys how to win. Part of the challenge is winning on the road, going away from home. Rob Murphy's team has already beaten Purdue at home. He beat Ohio U last year at home, a Sweet 16 team. But going on the road is the challenge. Tonight, 3 of 15 from the field. They have yet to go to the free throw line. And, you know, the offensive numbers speak for themselves.
Polson's on the board and gets one more free throw coming his way. John Calipari invited Jared Polson to walk on to the team. He turned down a scholarship to Liberty. He is a lifelong Kentucky fan.
Every kid in the Bluegrass is a lifelong Kentucky fan, maybe with the exception of some of the Louisville fans.
Timeout.
Good pressure.
Eastern Michigan.
That's the game plan. Full court pressure. Speed them up.
This legendary arena, never know who you're going to see.
Well, that was my former boss for 6 years here at the University of Kentucky from 1977, of course, the 1978 national championship
Who's that
team.
good-looking kid, second row, far right?
Who is that guy right there? who is that masked man? 23 years. Yeah, it was my first year in coaching out of college, and it was unbelievable. That team, led by Coach Joby Hall, was ranked #1 in the nation in the preseason, finished #1. Kyle Macy, the great point guard, Rick Roby, Jack Givens. It was just a special year that year.
So you and that staff are responsible for these high expectations here in the Bluegrass State.
Well, I told Coach Hall, you know, they hadn't won a national championship in 20 years until he hired me on the staff. he didn't buy it. We want to congratulate Coach Hall. This past November in Kansas City, he was inducted into the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame, along with another Lexington native, Jim Hostin. I have to say, Tom, my father, Joe Dean Sr., was also inducted in that ceremony as a contributor to the game of basketball.
And that is a fantastic venue. If you've never been there, the Power and Light District in Kansas City, it is some place that all college basketball fans need to make a pilgrimage to. In and out for Sims. So many cool displays and great history on hand there in Kansas City. Polson wants the ball back against his own. Straight ahead 3. Got it.
Yeah, comes into the game 3 of 19. And you can see as he matures, he becomes more comfortable on the floor. Ryan Harrow starting to come into his own and be the type point guard that John Calipari needs to take this team to that late run in March.
The non-conference didn't turn out like a lot of Kentucky fans wanted. Another steal for Noel. Another big guy runs the floor. Polson has it blocked by Riley. Back the other way for the Eagles. And the jam for Jamel Harris, his first bucket.
We saw the block by Deshante Riley, and his coach Rob Murphy and I both agree tonight is a great opportunity for him. He's a 7-footer with all kind of tools and talent, playing against one of the great big men in the country, Noel. As you see another lob on the back end of the zone. And opportunity for Deshante Riley to show people around the country what he's capable of doing. He won't be playing a team of this caliber night in and night out in the MAC.
The drive ball lost. Willie Cauley-Stein wants to run the floor. Noel with the follow jam.
Push the ball down the floor, throw it up on the glass, and let the Twin Towers go get it.
Another steal. Harrell with the left. Defensive pressure leading to some looks for Kentucky.
The game plan tonight for the Cats, throw it up on the board. Let your big people, Nerlens Noel with a little stufferino, and then pick your pocket. Ryan Harrell against the 7-footer. Use the body, left hand off the glass. Great execution by the point guard, Ryan Harrell.
And the team rebound will kick off the scorers table. Twani Beckham into the game as well for Kentucky. So John Calipari going deep to the bench here in the first 15 minutes. Polson, why not?
Jared Polson, a good shooter, doesn't play a lot. Having an opportunity here tonight, a young man out of Madisonville, North Hopkins High School, same hometown as one of the legendary players of Kentucky, Frank Ramsey.
Eastern Michigan gives the ball right back to Kentucky.
I really like Rob Murphy. Had a great visit with him today, and he's got a lot of energy. Won a state championship at Crockett High School, as we mentioned, in Detroit. He's a Detroit native. And he's come back to Eastern Michigan with the idea that he's going to build a program primarily with Michigan kids.
And here's one. Derek Thompson out of Detroit with a steal and a finish.
That's good by Thompson.
Rob Murphy's wife is a Kentucky native, Louisville grad, and her mother and grandfather are both Kentucky graduates. So a little bit of a homecoming for the Murphy in-laws.
Polson again, getting closer. Harrison leaks out. An 18-foot rebound for Noel. Wilcher still hasn't hit a three in this one. Eastern Michigan finding a way to slow down good three-point shooters.
Yeah, that shot's a little quick, Tom. I don't think Rob Murphy wants his team to shoot the ball quite that quick.
Another miss for Wilcher.
He actually put his hand up that time, Rob Murphy, and said, all right, guys, slow down. Let's run some offense.
And I took one away from him. Remember, Kyle hit that three in transition. He's 1 for 4 tonight. Thompson.
Let's go!
3 minutes to go before the half as the offense is trying to tighten it up a little bit. Shot clock at 5. Forced three goes. Run out. Julius Mays hits his first three. That's just his second make in 16 attempts from deep over the last 3.5 games.
Yeah, the offense really didn't work on that possession, but sometimes a good player can bail you out, and that's what Julius Mays did from about 21 feet.
Noel went for the steal. Here's Riley. Look at that mismatch. 7-footer over Mays. And Bryant goes by Wilcher to draw the foul. It's the first on Wilcher here at Rupp Arena. Kentucky leads Eastern Michigan 33-13 in Lexington.
Magic back in the studio. Coming up at halftime, we will take you around college basketball, including Louisville in a fight against Providence, up 4 right now in the first half, coming off that emotional win against Kentucky. We'll go there coming up at half. Back to Tom in Lexington.
All right, Matt, thanks. Tom Harwood, Joe Dean Jr. here. Kentucky leads Eastern Michigan 33-11. 2:15 to go before the break. A lot to get to tonight in college basketball, including that legend in upstate New York, Jim Boeheim, looking for win number 903 to pass the General Bob Knight. Mike Krzyzewski leads away with the #1 ranked team in the nation at 939 career victories.
There was a time not too long ago that many people never believed that anyone would break Adolph Rupp's record. Of course, we're in Rupp Arena here in Lexington tonight, but Dean Smith did it first. Bob Knight actually did it next. Mike Krzyzewski, of course, a disciple of Bob Knight, having played for him at West Point, now is the all-time leader. And Jim Boeheim, what a phenomenal career he has had. You know, as a player, assistant coach, and head coach, he's been a part of over 60% of Syracuse's games.
One of the great sights when he got that win number 902 was Detroit native and Mayor Dave Bing being welcomed out onto the floor by the coach. And Mike Krzyzewski talked to me about that the next day. He said, what I thought was so great about that is here you have a coach who's been here forever, and he's able to recognize the one man who helped him as an athlete turn that thing around and really get it going, and it was the first person he saw. Noel couldn't handle the high toss. When Krzyzewski talked to Boeheim the next day, he said, that's exactly what I told him. I said, Jim, you've done a lot of things wrong in your life, kind of joking with him. He said, but I love the fact that you were able to honor Dave Bing and be so emotional and honest with him when he came on the floor at the Carrier Dome.
Well, you know, Dave Bing was a teammate of Jim Boeheim at Syracuse and a tremendous player. Played in the NBA, obviously, with Detroit, the Pistons, and the mayor now of Detroit. But those kind of times are very special.
Benny White on Rob Murphy's staff works closely with Mayor Bing. Eastern Michigan not that far from Detroit, just a short drive and in the shadows of Ann Arbor. Tough one on the road against the undefeated Wolverines this season for Eastern Michigan. But like you said, they got Purdue at home and able to knock off the Boilermakers. Double comes on Cauley Stein. Well, he's getting better each and every game.
You are so right, Tom. He's long, a guy that was a wide receiver in football in high school and a successful one, over 1,000 yards receiving. So a tremendous athlete, long arms. And we saw a nice offensive move right there for the Big Blue. How to make those.
And a reach in on the other side on Derek Thompson. Best team in the nation headlines ESPNU's coverage of college basketball Saturday. At noon, it's an ACC battle as the Blue Devils host the Demon Deacons. Then at 2, the Longhorns take on the Bears. Wake Forest Duke at noon, the Texas Baylor 2. Saturday on ESPNU and also live on Watch ESPN. Don't forget, 4 o'clock at St. John's at Cincinnati. ESPN, the home court of college hoops.
Got some really good games coming up on the U the next few days. Looking forward to watching Arizona play again. Of course, Arizona ranked 3rd in the country. They're on the U tomorrow night. Big win over the Florida Gators a few weeks ago, 65-64. Game that Billy Donovan looked like head in hand, but Arizona's pressure got it done at the end.
One of the big wins for Duke early in the season was the victory at Catlanta against Kentucky. Got great guard play that night, even when Miles Plumlee was in foul trouble. Here's Goodwin. 3-on-2 numbers for Kentucky. Harrow. Wow, what a block to go up and get it. Talk about above the rim.
Yeah, they're going to give him the block. Glenn Bryant right there, youngster out of Detroit, transferred in here from Arkansas. And you see the athleticism that young man has. This is going to be a good team in the MAC. Eastern Michigan is going to have an opportunity. They won the Western Division of the MAC last year with a winning record. First time that has ever happened in that program. And of course, Tom, you mentioned that Rob Murphy was the MAC Coach of the Year last year. I like the 2-3 zone. They have better athletes this year, a year older. I like the point guard, Mr. Ross, Jared Ross. Jalen Ross, I should say. And I think they have a chance to be a competitive team in the MAC.
Sims trying to make something happen before the half ends. All the way to the bucket. It's rejected by Noel. And that one will find row 6. Basketball giveaway night tonight at Rupp Arena. And at the half, John Calipari's Wildcats hold a 38-14 advantage over Eastern Michigan. Now let's take it to the studio. Join Matt Schick and Dino Gaudio for the SportsCenter U halftime report. Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN from legendary Rupp Arena. We get set for the second half of action. Kentucky leads Eastern Michigan 38-14. Welcome back, everybody. Tom Hart alongside Joe Dean Jr. So pretty good first half of the Cats and a great finish on a 25-4 run. What does John Calipari want to see from his guys to start the second half?
He wants to see them play like they're behind with a lot of intensity, a lot of effort. He doesn't want them to look at the scoreboard. And the defense is what carried him in the first half. Nerlens Noel, one of the top shot blockers in the nation, getting the job done on the defensive end. Ryan Harrell picking people's pocket. 7 steals for the UK Wildcats in the first half, which led to 12 points off turnovers right there. The point guard, Ryan Harrell, with the finish.
Here's a look at the first half stats. Neither team shooting the ball well from deep. Eastern Michigan just 1 of 8 as they face their largest halftime deficit this season. And their 12 turnovers led to a baker's dozen for UK. Keep this in mind. Kentucky hasn't won the first 5 minutes of the second half in any game this season. They tied it once, but otherwise they have come out of the first 5 minutes worse than they were going in to the second half. So let's see if they can play a good 5 minutes to start this stanza.
And you can be assured that John Calipari talked to his team about that very thing, because coaches talk a lot about the first 5 minutes of the second half, and a little high-low against the 2-3 zone defense gives Kentucky an easy dunk.
That's what they want to see from the freshman Poitras. Now Sims on the run. It's an Eastern Michigan team struggling here offensively tonight. 4-on-3 numbers. And you can see it, not every possession, but on occasion where they're hesitating to go to the rim against these Kentucky bigs. Poitras off the mark from the wing.
Poitras has actually shot the ball pretty well from 3 this year, over 40%. He's been spending a lot of time, as you mentioned earlier, Tom, with John Calipari in individual workouts, trying to get him to play hard for longer periods of time.
Thought Noel walked with it, but instead this whistle will go against Eastern Michigan, and the bump from J.R. Sims, his first. It was interesting. John Calipari said, it's something I developed in the NBA. When guys were on the disabled list coming off of the injury and ready to go back and play again, I said, you need to work with me one-on-one so I know you're ready to play. And it does 2 things. I work them out pretty hard. We might go 35, 40 minutes. It gives them confidence as Poitras is playing above the rim now. And it gives me confidence as a coach in what they're doing. And I might see some things like I've seen from Alex Poitras regarding his jumper that I didn't know he can do. And I'm urging him to do those things during the game. Yeah,
those were very interesting comments that he made to us today, and in particular about Alex Poitras, who has so much talent and ability. He said, you know, we go through reps, 10 reps in a drill. He can do 2 or 3. The question is, can he do them just as well in reps 7, 8, 9, and 10? That's what I want to see.
Riley walked with it.
Yeah, good look on the out-of-bounds play, just to cut right down the lane. Here he comes. Nice pass by Noel. Breakdown by the Eastern Michigan defense. The middle of the zone. There's the place you want to get the basketball. Kentucky does it beautifully that time.
Would that be a Stufferino?
I think that would be a Stufferino, Tom.
Sims with the steal. Takes it himself.
Gotta make those. Anytime you play a team like Kentucky, you got to make your opportunities when you get them. You don't get many of them.
Oh! Riley stripped it away on Noel. So coming up next, SEC play. They're at Vandy, then Texas A&M will be here as an SEC opponent, and they draw Tennessee. You know, the opportunities are few and far between because the conference has struggled a little bit this season in terms of Kentucky building its postseason resume.
Well, Vanderbilt, the team they open with in Nashville next Wednesday, that's usually a tough place for Kentucky to play, but Vanderbilt under Kevin Stallings lost their top 6 players from last year, and they're sitting at 5 and 6 right now, struggling a little bit.
Lost 88% of the scoring. John Calipari told us today that a couple of losses this season, some of them didn't really bother him as much. At Notre Dame was a tough one, but here at home at Baylor, said that one was really the one that bothered him. And obviously Louisville was a separate issue with the way they came back in the second half.
Well, you know, they lost to Duke on a neutral floor in Atlanta in the Champions Classic. Lost at Louisville, the game you mentioned last Saturday. Really good effort. But the Baylor loss here at home, the first home loss under John Calipari in 4 years, was very troubling. And they only had about 36 hours turnaround from the game in South Bend to the Baylor game here in Rupp. Didn't handle it well.
Goodwin got tripped up on the drive. A look around the league, what you need to know: Ole Miss is at 10+ wins in the first 12 games. Third time in 7 seasons under Coach Andy Kennedy. LSU scoring the ball 70+ in 9 of 10, and Missouri, top 10 team coming off of an overtime loss at UCLA.
Andy Kennedy's team is the best Ole Miss team in the last 10 years in Oxford. Very, very talented group. And you saw LSU there under Johnny Jones, who is a former player and assistant coach under Dale Brown at LSU. He has the #1 steals player in the nation in Anthony Hickey, a young man who's from Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
Was Mr. Kentucky a few years ago. Then again, LSU also has a tuba player playing center.
That's right. They do. 7'3". Piro, I believe, is how you pronounce his name.
And another foul on the baseline drive. That's a bump from Deshante Riley. You're looking for a higher motor from Alex Poitras, the freshman from Tennessee. What have you seen tonight?
Well, you know, he's still got a ways to go. I mean, he is very, very talented, very gifted, big body, strong, shoots it well. But the mental toughness that John Calipari is trying to instill in him to play harder and sustain his effort for longer periods of time, that's when we're going to find out just how good number 22 from Clarksville, Tennessee can be.
Wilcher got it, his second 3 of the night.
And there's Wilcher, who's obviously Kentucky's best three-point threat. But John Calipari talked about him as well, that, you know, if he ever wants to play at the next level, he's got to do more things. He's got to rebound the ball more, defend better. The guy's 6'9". And so he's working with Kyle Wilcher on those types of things, you know, knowing what an offensive threat he is.
A hold on the drive is Dalen Harrison, who's getting aggressive. We touched on it a little bit earlier. John Calipari and this Kentucky program on this year's team, there's no one to mimic, no one to emulate. And one of the things he was talking about was effort. You go hard in practice and you see an upperclassman going even harder.
Yep.
Say, okay, maybe I'm not doing it as hard as I can. But with so many youngsters and a lack of upperclassmen, they think they're going hard. They don't see what the difference might be if they're able to take it up a notch. Noel will lead the break. Back to Mays off the bench. And Kentucky gets to another 50-50 ball. It's a third on the 7-footer, Deshante Riley. And when we return to Rupp, Nerlens Noel, the talented freshman, will be on the free throw line for Kentucky. A moment ago here at Rupp Arena, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, the #2 overall pick in the NBA draft, with a nice welcome home in front of 24,000. Kentucky leads Eastern Michigan 45-14.
They bring him out to finish the spelling of Kentucky with the Y. That's why he had his hands up in the air, emulating a Y. And of course, you mentioned the #2 pick in the draft. #1, of course, was his teammate Anthony Davis. And don't forget, the 3rd pick in the draft was an SEC player as well, Bradley Beal from the University of Florida. Top 3 picks last year, all SEC players.
Tough loss for Billy Donovan in Florida. Had one in their back pocket in Tucson. A thriller in Arizona. A pretty good Arizona team. Only a few undefeateds remaining out there. Michigan is one of them. Eastern went into Chrysler Arena. They lost to those guys. Harrell with the 3. That's his second triple of the night.
Yeah, he's 3 of 4 is Ryan Harrell. He comes in tonight 3 of 16 coming in tonight. And he's 3 of 4 tonight. You can see, again, improvement every game for Ryan Harrell.
Goodwin gets whistled for the reach, his second.
The foul is on Goodwin. That's his second and the team's second.
35-4 run for Kentucky, dating back to the end of the first half. Eastern Michigan hasn't scored yet since the break. The last 2 road games for Eastern Michigan, they've suffered through droughts. Against Illinois, Chicago, they went 9 minutes without a bucket. Against Michigan, they went 8 minutes without a bucket. Tough D on the other end.
Yeah, Kyle Wilcher probably should have ball faked, put the ball down on the floor. Glenn Bryant, the former Arkansas Razorback, with the block.
Riley brings it down. 5 minutes into the second half. Eastern looking for a bucket.
Dejounte Riley is the interesting story for me, watching him. A guy that's 7 feet, big body, a lot of skills. Here he is with a basketball. Got to make those right there. But a guy that has another year, just a junior, and I think Rob Murphy wants to see him improve and become a dominating player.
ESPN College Basketball is available live anytime, anywhere on your computer, tablet, or smartphone at WatchESPN.com and with the Watch ESPN app. Here's Riley with another touch for the Eagles. Glenn Bryant sizes up Wilcher. I think the frustrating part for Eastern Michigan is Wilcher jams it home. And they'll fix the net, and Eastern Michigan's got to find a way to fix this offense. Yeah, they're struggling tonight against a very good defensive team with a lot of length.
Yeah, you see in the replay, here's great pass by Julius Mays. And again, that's great offense by Kentucky. But that's a total breakdown defensively by Eastern Michigan, who plays 2-3 zone primarily. And if you're going to play that defense, you've got to get back in transition and get set up quicker in your zone to prevent that type of an easy basket.
Harrison now takes it. Harrison is one of the few guys for Eastern Michigan that looks like he wants to score and wants to take control on the offensive end.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He's a 4th-year player out of Akron St. Vincent St. Mary's High School. If that high school sounds familiar, I think you know the answer to who played there. A fairly famous player.
Yeah, LeBron.
LeBron James would be the answer to that trivia. But I agree. Dalen Harrison, whose father, Chris, was an outstanding player at West Virginia Wesleyan under the late Bruce Stewart.
Wilcher starting to heat up. Second 3 of the second half.
When you're 6'9", you're going to get a lot of looks. And if you can shoot the basketball, you're a tremendous threat. And that's what Kyle Wilcher brings to this team, that big body who can knock down threes.
Ross with a quick release and a beautiful jumper for his first bucket.
I like him. Going to be a good one. Just a freshman out of Greensboro, North Carolina. Mom, Kim, is from Michigan, played at Saginaw Valley State. So he's got it in his genes.
Mays steps into a 3. John Calipari's got to be happy seeing Mays' shot come around. One of the schools of thought is that Julius Mays was struggling with his shot because he was spending so much time on the floor, playing 38, 39 minutes a game. Did not start tonight as they went with the bigger lineup. And there's Glenn Bryant with the drive.
You see, Glenn Bryant, a move like that is going to be effective in the MAC conference. He's athletic at 6'8". Saw him put it on the floor, show some strength. When they get in their conference, Eastern Michigan's going to be a solid team who will compete for the Western Championship again this year.
In the MAC, if you don't get a first-round bye, you have the chance to host your first-round game, and then go on to play in Cleveland, the side of the tournament. So Eastern Michigan missed out on a first-round bye, even though they won the West. They don't seed by divisions, and they lost at home to Northern Illinois, ending the season on what was a tremendous MAC run, finishing 9-7. Willie Cauley-Stein returns with Alex Poitras as Noel takes a seat.
Well, you know, from personal experience, I can tell you, when you go into a program that has not had success, does not have a winning tradition, it is a very difficult, challenging task to teach the players how to win and to get a culture, even on the campus, from the administration to the players, the managers, the trainers, of what it takes to build a championship caliber program. I think Rob Murphy's the guy to do that here at Eastern Michigan University.
And another jumper for Ross, who had a career-high 17 against Oakland just before Christmas. Came back with 9 against Michigan. Mays has it blocked, and they're going to get Bryant for the foul, his third. Thought he had it from the side. 56-23 here. On the other side of this break, we'll check in with Matt Schick in the studio, catch you up to date with all that's happening at hoops tonight.
Matt Schick back in the studio with this in-game update. Louisville with that win over Kentucky, now playing Providence, and Providence giving them a time here. But the turnover, Shane Bohannon been battling an illness recently, feeling fine tonight. He's got 10 points. Louisville right now up 56-47. And in upstate New York, Jim Boeheim and his Cuse up 2 as he goes for win number 903. Back to Lexington with Tom and Joe.
All right, thanks, Matt. Here, Kentucky leads Eastern Michigan 56-23. John Calipari working hard on that Kentucky sideline. And if you see John Calipari react during the game and his temperature rise and then come back down to the peaks and valleys of coaching, folks, that's exactly what he's like every practice with his team. He's one of the most involved head coaches that you'll find in college basketball when it comes to being on the floor and running his team.
Yeah, you're right, Tom. And you know, you and I talked about it today, watching him practice. The thing that impressed me the most about watching John Calipari at the shoot-around this morning is how much he enjoys teaching the game of basketball. That's why most coaches get into coaching to begin with. They love the game, and they love teaching the game to good players. He's got great players that aspire to be in professional basketball players. He understands that, and he's trying to do everything he can to give these players that opportunity, all the while trying to help Kentucky win another championship.
Julius Mays has 3 free throws coming his way. Told you earlier that the first 5 minutes a key for Kentucky over the course of the season. It was abysmal to start the second half against Louisville last time out. They had a battle back. How about this? First 5 minutes of this second half, 10-0. Held Eastern Michigan to 0 for 7. And Kentucky shot 40% from the floor. That's pretty good coming out of the locker room.
Good for Kentucky. The good news from Eastern Michigan, only 1 turnover, but again, challenged offensively, struggling to find good looks, struggling to make shots. And again, playing a team of this caliber on the road is always going to be difficult for a team like Eastern Michigan.
And you look at those numbers and you say, well, you know, of course they may not have a great 5 minutes against the Louisvilles or the Dukes of the world. Well, they played from behind in the first 5 minutes of every half except for Lafayette, and they played Lafayette even in a 101-49 win. Could that be a byproduct as Goodwin fights his way back up? Could that be a byproduct of Kentucky's youth?
Well, I think so. I think it's just a situation where young players like this don't recognize and what they have to do coming out of a break, and don't have that sense of urgency that great teams have, that, you know, they have that so-called, and I don't really like this term, the so-called killer instinct that, you know, they come out, you know, wanting to attack, wanting to dominate. This Kentucky team doesn't seem to have that right now. Now, by the time they get to March, could be a whole different story. They certainly have the physical tools and the raw talent to be a great, great team, and that's what John Calipari is working to develop.
Balcom was slow to his feet after getting tripped up, and officials will stop play. It looks like he twisted his ankle. They just committed His second personal foul a moment ago, senior from Roseville, Michigan. Rob Murphy and Eastern Michigan will have to deal with some bigs in the MAC. Zeke Marshall of Akron, 7 feet tall, averages 5.5 blocks a game. So there's some size and back to the basket presence in the MAC, and you don't see that everywhere in this day and age. And Kentucky's got some size in Noel and Cauley Stein. They go 6'10" and 7 feet. Push out front to Goodwin. Here he goes.
We haven't heard a lot from Archie Goodwin tonight. That's only his 6th point of the game, coming off a big performance at Louisville last Saturday. And that's kind of what you're talking about. You know, he kind of hides a little bit, and that's what young players will have a tendency to do, and got to come out of that.
Kentucky looking for some consistency coming off the loss to Louisville. Here with 10:37 to go from Rupp Arena. John Calipari's Cats are all over Eastern Michigan, 62-23. When we return, we'll take a look at some of the fantastic moments from a college basketball season that was well underway.
One spins out, 2-point game. Clark at midcourt, 3 seconds left. Clark shovels it up there. He hit it! He hit the shot! Wow! He hit it! Barlow, 7 seconds, starts to drive inside, spins, right hand up, it bounces around, drops it! Goal! Cole takes 2 dribbles, shoots from midcourt, and he missed it off to the left, and Butler has done it! Here's Lyons, on the drive, contact, hit the shot! Arizona by 1, 7 seconds left. Florida has a timeout. Here's Rosario with 3, lost the ball, Wilbekin gets it off. Arizona wins! What a comeback for the Wildcats! And Jim Boeheim, as he walks over to shake hands with Coach Ray McCallum, he shakes hands as a winner of 900 basketball games.
Well, it doesn't matter if you're a Hall of Fame coach, a superstar, or a walk-on. There's been some folks jumping into the spotlight as we turn the calendar to 2013 and continue this great college basketball season. Indiana Butler may have been the game of the year to this point. We talked to John Calipari earlier today about the ending, at least for now, to that Kentucky-Indiana rivalry. Calipari told us, he said, listen, I told Tom Crean I'd be happy to play on a neutral site. But I'm going to have a young team, and we're going to struggle. This is my team, and I need to find ways to make my team better. I can't worry about the secondary ticket market. I can't worry about filling seats. I've got to worry about getting these guys to the next level.
You know, it's like the fiscal cliff debate a little bit. You know, you understand both sides. John Calipari wants the neutral court. Obviously, Tom Crean wants to play in Bloomington. The sad thing is that college basketball needs Kentucky and Indiana to play each other.
Poitras with the drive and the finish. I agree 100%. College basketball needs those rivalries at the highest level to keep the interest up when everybody's watching bowl games and watching the NFL. You could say the same thing and give that same message to Bill Self, who could have kept the Kansas-Missouri rivalry going when the Tigers left for the SEC, but he decided not to. I just think when you're a blue blood program, whether you're Indiana, Kentucky, Kansas, North Carolina, Duke, those that stand above the rest, right, you have a responsibility to the sport, not just to do what's best for your team. Noel, that's it short. But also to continue to promote the sport of college basketball.
Well, I couldn't agree more, Tom, and I think you made the interesting point is it's in the middle of football season, playoffs for the non-D1s. You see the lob there, couldn't quite get it. Noel, and the bowl season, and basketball's mixed in with all of that, and it's hard to focus sometimes for the fans. So to have those type of matchups and rival games in the month of December, I think is very important for college basketball.
That Indiana-Kentucky game last year in December was the game of the year.
It really was. Christian Watford, of course, the three-pointer, young man out of Birmingham, Alabama, who hit the shot heard around the world last year in college basketball.
And how did that result affect Kentucky?
Just gave them maybe a little bit of a wake-up call as to what they needed to do going forward. Of course, they didn't lose again until the SEC final down in New Orleans when Vanderbilt rose up and won the SEC championship.
The SEC goes to 18-game schedule this year. Kentucky was 16-0 last year. I asked Cal what he thought about the expanded schedule. He said it's fine. I like it. It's good. But you know me, I'd much rather have 14 league games and go out and find my own.
Right.
Go out and find those RPI games. Because unlike football, we have to schedule 5-10 years in advance. We know what we have coming back. We can figure out what other teams have coming back. We can create some great matchups for TV and games that are the best for both programs.
And that serves Kentucky well. I don't know that that's in the best interest of some of the other programs in the league. Of course, there are 14 schools, and some of the schools would have a hard time filling some of those other games with quality opponents.
Well, Eastern Michigan has played a couple of Big Ten schools. They got Michigan State to come into place last year. Tom Izzo has a fantastic tradition of going in-state. Oh! There it is, the highlight of the night. Willie Cauley-Stein. Pickpocket at midcourt. And a foul by Archie Goodwin.
Well, Ryan Harrell's had a tremendous game. You can just see that he's really coming into his own, leaving the ball up for Willie Cauley-Stein. Just throw it right to the rim, let the big guy go, and play some Stufferino time, Hart. I think you like that.
I love it. So Tom Izzo took his team to Ypsilanti last year. He's been to Wisconsin, Green Bay, played one on the road in the MAC this season. Love the fact that he goes out and gives those small schools a chance. He brings a tremendous program to town. Everybody does it a little bit differently.
That's right.
Mike Krzyzewski is not afraid to schedule games, but he'd much rather have them on a neutral site, it seems. They go all over the place and take on all comers, but very rarely on the road in non-conference. Ross doubled it. Speaking of mid-majors, the guys who are looking to bust some brackets, here's Joe's top teams for the season.
Yeah, we've already talked about the Butler over Indiana win. Creighton, you see them 11th in the country. Wichita State has some big wins already. And Middle Tennessee State, coached by Kermit Davis Jr., has already knocked off Ole Miss and Vanderbilt, a sleeper team that won the Sun Belt last year with 27 wins.
Doug McDermott of Creighton averaged 26.5 points a game in the month of December. Wilcher inside. Oh, it fell off for him. Second chance and one. Above his season average and a chance to add to it.
And the reason John Calipari is applauding there is because that's what he wants to see more from Kyle Wilcher. He knows he can step out and shoot threes. He's 6'9". Can you go inside and show the toughness to get hit and get the ball in the basket, as Kyle Wilcher did nicely right there.
Probably an underrated win on the season for Kentucky was a victory against Maryland. Wilcher had 19 in that one. Kentucky fans certainly want Maryland to have a great year in the ACC to help that UK RPI down the stretch. Can't believe you think there's two sides to the fiscal cliff. Blocked by Willie Cauley-Stein. He's all over the place.
It was just a rumor I heard.
Goodwin crashing the boards.
You know, that $400,000 limit, though, is still going to affect you, Tom.
A foul inside on the other way. Kentucky going full throttle and open it up a little bit. Willie Cauley-Stein, so good he needs 3 names. 74-29 Cats.
Park in the offense. Deep ball, sideline, brought in, touchdown. Matt Barkley back for USC. He's been super.
Coming from behind us, Jadeveon Clowney with the sack.
Under Armour High School All-America game coming your way soon, and later tonight the FI Skills Challenge at 9 o'clock Eastern. Friday at 5, the All-America game. I believe what Jadeveon Clowney did to Michigan a couple of days ago would be called a stufferino.
I'm going to tell you, that was unbelievable. Not just the hit, but the way he picked the ball up with his left hand off the ground. That was maybe the most impressive play I've seen in this college football season.
South Carolina came from behind to take down Michigan, and we get another year of Jadeveon Clowney in the SEC. And for Coach Spurrier, here 74-29, Kentucky on top of Eastern Michigan. On a great night at Rupp Arena. How about this for a gift?
There you go.
Every dad should have a present like this under the tree.
You know, a little nostalgic for me today, Tom, being here in Lexington and tonight in Rupp Arena. 33 years ago today, my son, Scott, was born at Good Samaritan Hospital here in Lexington. I was on the staff here at UK under Joe B. Hall, and that night sat on the bench here in Rupp Arena in a game where we beat the Auburn Tigers on a last-second jump shot by Kyle Macy. And I was thinking about that a lot today, so I want to wish my son Scott a happy birthday.
I was thinking about you when you told me that he was born at 5 o'clock in the morning. Right. Speaking of football, Mark Stoops, new Kentucky football coach. And not only are you there, obviously overnight with your lovely bride, but then you're here for shoot-around. End the game. An assistant coach's job never ends.
I think I had to scout that night on Auburn. I can't remember. But obviously a special day for my wife Ellen and I, and Scott's been a remarkable young man. Actually worked here at Kentucky in the Sports Information Office for 3 years.
And they do a fantastic job all the way around. There's Wiltshire with the drive in the left hand. He's got 15 now.
And again, you know, that's the kind of thing John Calipari wants to see from Kyle Wiltshire. Other parts of his game than standing three-point shots. Take the ball to the basket, use the glass, take advantage of your size.
A foul on Harper for a push-off. ESPNU has a college basketball doubleheader that includes one of the top teams in the nation. At 8, the third-ranked Arizona Wildcats host Colorado. Then at 10, the Cardinals take on the Trojans. Colorado, Arizona at 8. Then Stanford, USC at 10. Thursday on ESPNU. And also live on Watch ESPN. ESPN, the home court of college hoops. Think Michael Kidd-Gilchrist will give me a ride to Stanford?
No, he will not.
Well, good, because the games at USC would have been lost anyway.
Right.
There's a 3 from Julius Mays. He's got a baker's dozen now. Harper, the lefty, wanted to get one off. Here's Mays to push. I don't know how often it happens, but Kyle Wiltshire had to be told to shoot it.
You wouldn't have to tell me that.
Well, when it's John Calipari telling you to shoot it, you put it up.
You shoot it. That's right.
Harper was there to play the passing lane, but it's taken away. A block by Willie Cauley-Stein. And a rebound, and he is filling out the stat sheet tonight. 11 boards to go with 11 points. Eastern Michigan wants a timeout. Rob Murphy wants an explanation. Final timeout for the Eagles.
Well, he's asking for the goaltend by Willie Cauley-Stein on Austin Harper's shot. Let's take a look at it. Here's the drive. Left hand awfully close. It did not hit the glass. Looked like it was still below the rim. I think that was a good call, or a good no call, I should say. Kept the ball alive for the Big Blue. They're playing extremely well tonight. Obviously, the level of teams here are not equal, but Kentucky has taken care of business tonight.
Well, Kentucky has 4 losses on the season, but there's a handful of teams out there that are still perfect. Duke undefeated, #1 team in the nation at 12-0. Nick Stauska has filled out that Michigan lineup well with 2 great guards and Trey Burke, Tim Hardaway Jr. They're 13-0. Arizona out west is 12-0. And the best start since 1950-51 for Wyoming.
Yeah, how about Larry Shiat, former top assistant to Billy Donovan at Florida, at 12-0 right now. Great job by Coach Shiat, who actually is in his second tour of duty at Wyoming. He was the head coach there and took the Clemson job, coached there before going down to Florida to help Billy Donovan win back-to-back national championships back in 06 and 07. Going back to Wyoming, and you see right there one of 4 remaining undefeateds.
I think that's back when Kenny Sailors was with him. He invented the jump shot.
He was in the Hall of Fame class this year in Kansas City with Coach Joe B. Hall. 92 years old.
That's fantastic.
He was there in supposedly the first college player to shoot a jump shot.
Yep. And you know he's first row at Arena Auditorium in Laramie. Willie Cauley-Stein double-double tonight. His second, 11 and 11. And his shooting is tremendous. He's now hit 15 of his last 20 field goals over a 4-game span. Now you look at a big that puts up numbers like that. Tells me that he's aggressive. Noel with the swap. And then he doesn't take bad shots.
Exactly. What lets the game come to him. And again, those are the kind of things John Calipari does a great job of teaching his players how to play together, move the ball, find the open man.
Lonnie Beckham in the game for Kentucky. Noel draws the double. And Sims pushes it out front to Austin Harper.
Harper, redshirt junior out of Grand Haven, Michigan. He's one of those 7 transfers we talked about coming to Eastern Michigan from Western Michigan.
They reset the shot clock. Doesn't matter for Harrell. 15 now for Ryan Harrell.
And again, that's 4 out of 5 tonight for Harrell from 3. Came into the game shooting only 3 of 16. So really starting to get comfortable from the arc.
And they'll leave it for Noel. Great recognition by Harrell and Mays with the big guy coming down the lane. 4:10 to go. Kentucky well in control of this one. Starters still on the floor in terms of Harrell and Noel. And Mays essentially a starter. When do you go deeper to the guys on the end of the bench?
Right now, here they come.
Well, at least we'll get Polson in, and those walk-ons trying to give the coach an idea by peeling off the shooting shirts. Hey, look, coach, I'm ready. 88-33 Kentucky.
There's Ryan Arcidiacono of Villanova. Averages 11 a game, had 17 his last time out. He and the Wildcats getting set to host the Red Storm of St. John's at the Pavilion in 15 minutes. Back to Lexington.
Matt, thanks. Here at UK, all big blue. Standing tall tonight as we take a look at our game summary. 50 points here in the second half for Kentucky. Wiltshire leading the way with 17 on hot shooting, and Willie Cauley-Stein, the freshman's got a double-double. 25 points off of turnovers for Kentucky. They've turned them over 18 times. But Stein is the story.
Well, a 7-footer that's got a lot of length. You see the fast break jam right there. And then watch this, the nice jump hook. That's what's so impressive. You see a freshman that can put the ball in the middle of the lane and go up and do the jump hook. Long arms, shot blocker, just all kind of physical ability. And they're trying to play him and Noel together, the twin tower look, which I think is really going to bode well for Kentucky as they go through this season. Kentucky is off until next Wednesday night. They open SEC play in Nashville against Vanderbilt, the last SEC team to beat them.
Undefeated run in the regular season through SEC play last year for Kentucky. He had to ballpark a number of conference wins this season for the Cats. What do you say with an expanded 18-game schedule?
Well, it's going to be interesting, and the thing that's interesting about it is it's not a schedule where everybody plays everyone twice. So, you know, you might be a team that has to play Kentucky twice or Florida twice, and maybe you don't play some of the other teams but once. So you're going to hear coaches complain about that as we go through the season.
Kentucky draws Missouri once, A&M twice in terms of the new guys, and then some of those traditional rivalries they'll stick with basically every season and play home and home with Florida, Vandy, and Tennessee.
You know, example, I did a game at Ole Miss earlier this year. Andy Kennedy was talking about what a favorable schedule they have. They only play Kentucky once. That game is in Oxford. They only play Florida once. Obviously, Mississippi State is his rival game, and Mississippi State's down this year.
Wilson with the rebound, finds Noel. 6 second-half points for Nerlens Noel. And the walk-ons ready at the next stoppage to get in for Kentucky. 3-on-1 break. Mays to Beckham. Swatted away. And a nice block by Harris. The best team in the nation headlines ESPNU's coverage of college basketball Saturday. It's an ACC matchup as Wake travels to Durham to take on #1 Duke. Then at 2, Baylor plays host to Texas. Wake Forest Duke at noon, Texas Baylor 2 Saturday on ESPNU and also live on Watch ESPN. ESPN, the home court of college hoops. Sam Malone, Todd Lanter. Check into the game for Kentucky. And so did Brian Long. Long was hiding in the corner.
Todd Lanter, number 21 for Kentucky, a walk-on, is the son of a former walk-on here at Kentucky, Bo Lanter. And this version of the Lanter family, Todd, is a youngster from Dunbar High School right here in Lexington.
Wiltshire with the block. Harris went down hard. There's Beckham out front. To the right hand.
He was looking for somebody to lob it to at the rim, and he saw Brian Long on the left lane running. Said, I don't think I can lob it to him.
Not here with the wrong guys. I want to lob it. Malone nearly has it stripped. And it goes off of his leg.
Nice opportunity, though, for John Calipari to give these young men an opportunity to play here. They obviously practice every day. They work hard. And this is a nice reward for these walk-ons to get some playing time and let their mom and dads enjoy this.
I agree. I just want to see a coach start putting in some sets for the walk-ons so we can get somebody a clean
Right.
look. Harper hits the 3, just his 3rd 3 of the season. Let's see who Kentucky goes to in the final 60 seconds. Well, John Calipari is putting a play in. To the corner, they're swinging. Sam Malone from Massachusetts lost it. Mayday. Now out front, Harper. And another breakaway point. Four-second difference in the shot clock and game clock. Beckham with the look inside. And Lanter's off the mark. Eastern Michigan will get one last crack at it. And Malone with his 2nd rebound to run out the clock. Kentucky runs Eastern Michigan out of the building. Another win for John Calipari. Rob Murphy's team playing a tough schedule. Doesn't go their way tonight as Kentucky goes to 9-4. SEC play starts next as the Wildcats head to Vandy. Then at home against Texas A&M. Eastern draws UMass and former Calipari assistant Derek Kellogg